Okay. We'll go ahead and start with Coach. We'll help open up with his opening statement, then we'll start taking questions.
Faced a very, very good Ohio team today, obviously, and a team that we're very fortunate to beat. Give them a lot of credit. Great point guard. We saw that today, and he elevates everybody on that team. And then Vanderplas is a skilled, high IQ guy, and they had a great opportunity to win the game. We were very fortunate, and again, it's I'm excited. Good teams find a way to win games with good players. DeMonte Williams, without question, was the player of the game. Not just because he made a three or got 10 rebounds. It was his energy. It was his desire. It was very frustrating for me as a coach in the first half to have him in foul trouble and not have the flexibility to move some different lineups around with him. But again, and Io does what he does, and that was huge. But I thought we got really solid play on the defensive end. We did what we wanted to do. Was this is a team that took 31 threes yesterday. They've been living and dying by the three. And, we kind of took the approach we did against Michigan last year and trying to take threes away. And for the most part, we did that. We let Preston get going. He had 3 in the first half, but none in the second. And again, a very good team. This will be a team that wins a lot of games in their league.
Okay, we'll start with questions with, we'll go Rob, Derek Piper, and Brandon to start off. Go ahead, Rob.
Brad, I assume that this game went almost perfectly from a coaching perspective, that you won and a lot of lessons were learned. Are there any particular lessons from individuals or for your individual players that stood out to you?
Well, I think your approach has to be, we've got to learn from this. I mean, 3 games in 3 days, and your average margin of victory is, I don't know what it was, 50 some. And if you think you're going to do that every single time, we obviously got a very good basketball team who's extremely well coached and has a plan. And, you don't get layups, and then you have to execute. And it did go perfect. It was, we found a way to win it, and we got tested. We learned a lot. I'm extremely frustrated with our turnovers. There's something that we've got to get out of our system, and they're mental. But our approach wasn't great this morning at shoot around. I get it. We're getting up at 5:30, 5 o'clock every morning to go test. It was quick turns, but it was for them too. And they played like a veteran team, and we played a little bit uninspired. You saw their energy, and today was a day that I've told our team this from all fall. There's going to be no exterior motivation. If you're one of those guys that needs a outside motivator, then you're going to really get exposed in this deal. And they had a lot of energy, and we sure could have used our crowd, but we didn't. And that's why DeMonte Williams, player of the game.
I get it if you don't want to criticize anybody individually, but I'm curious if there were if you remember any moments from the game where a guy saw something, learned from that moment.
Well, I think there's all of them. I'm frustrated with our turnovers. I think there's, we told our big guys that they were going to rake, what we call a rake, and that's dig hard on them. We told, we've got to, as a collective group, we've got to run better offense. We get so impatient, and maybe that's that maybe goes back to the first 2 days. We scored so easy, and that's not real basketball. This was, and so we've got some things we got to clean up.
Yeah. Thanks, Brad.
Okay, Derek Piper, you're up. Brandon Simberg on deck. Go ahead, Derek.
Hey, Coach, obviously Preston hit some tough ones. Io seemed to do a pretty good job on him overall. How big is that as far as next step in being an impact defender, being able to guard someone like that?
We've got 2 of them, and that's a nice deal to have. And we were just as concerned about Roderick as we were Preston. And I thought the job that Ace and Trent did on him, because he elevates those guys. And when those guys make threes, they're lethal. And that becomes one heck of an offensive team. And, but yeah, Io did an outstanding job. He always rises to that challenge. And again, you saw what good players do. They make hard shots and they make big shots. And, Preston's one of the best guards in the country. He's an NBA talent, and there's no doubt that Io did an outstanding job. But good players are going to they find a way, and we couldn't speed him up. That was the one thing that I'm so impressed with him is he never got sped up. So we got some work to do in terms of challenging him at the rim. But again, a good player, made a lot of shots.
You guys were in a lot of close games last year, had Io hit a lot of those big shots. What did you notice about the first time your team faced adversity and just down the stretch in those moments, what the huddles were like?
I'm really, really proud of them. I mean, I'm extremely proud. We were down 8. And, and it was nobody pointing fingers, nobody, being critical of anything. It was all about, we've got this, we're tough, we're an everyday guy, it's what we practice for. And, again, we made a great rally. And, they showed what a veteran team does. We got up 5, I think, right after that stretch, and they came back. And so it was just a good battle, and I was proud of our guys to fight through that. At some point earlier in my tenure here, that would have turned into probably a 20-point loss.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, Brandon, you're up, and then Joey Wagner on deck. Go ahead, Brandon.
Hey, Brad, 7 seconds left. You guys have the ball under your own basket. Did you know they were going to press, and was that the shot that you were hoping to get out of that scenario?
There's a team that they're a team that has extended the court quite a bit in a lot of dead ball situations and after free throws. We thought that they would. We put DeMonte at the half court line, and the play was then to 8 seconds is an eternity, and they couldn't foul. So when we saw him pick up full man, we just kept the same play. We thought they might be in their 1-2-2. But we have just a little back pick screen play that we run, and you get Io DeSumo going downhill with that kind of speed. There's no doubt he was going to get to the rim. I think there was 2.5, 3 seconds left, but DeMonte set a perfect screen, cleared him up, and he was to the rim. They had to foul him.
And then Ohio ran a lot of high ball screens today against your bigs. So how would you assess their pick and roll coverage today?
It's got to be better. It's got to be better. We got turned sideways a lot, trying to maybe block too many shots. And when you get a kid that's 6'4" and got length and he's a great finisher. He threw a bunch of them up over the top of Kofi. And that's not what we do. We try to stay square and take him in the chest. And we've got to continue to work on that. We got to get better at that.
Hey, Brad, I know, you mentioned that sometimes they go to 1-2-2 or, what they do out of timeouts, but Io said he studied that film after your guys' film session last night in his apartment. He must have dug through what they like to do. At this point, I'm guessing you're maybe not surprised by that, but what does that say about Io to continue to dig in even when he leaves the confines of Auburn?
Yeah, Coach Gentry and Neil Gonta and Quay Jones, those guys have all put together an app that we use and we have on our phones, and it has all of our plays. It has our scouting report, and it has clips and film and video, and that's what it's there for, is for those guys to study and to look at personnel, to look at tendencies, to look at what teams do. And, there's no doubt, Io's a student of the game, and winning's important. So he pays attention to a lot of that and as do a lot of our guys.
And then for DeMonte to step into that 3 to get you guys within 1 point and sets all this up, confidence-wise, how far has he come, or maybe where is he at in terms of taking that shot? And I'm assuming it's good for you to see.
Probably a better question for DeMonte. my confidence in him has never waned because I know how hard he works. I know how well he shoots it. And, like I said, I mean, he's what was he, 3 of 4 today? And I mean, you go back to the end of last season, that's why we were playing so good, was his ability to make shots and space the floor, and it opened everything up. And, he's becoming a big time threat. And so, and then with his ability to pass, and I think he had 7 assists in one night. And then, you start getting 10, 12 rebounds. That's pretty productive night. So I feel pretty good about the way DeMonte's playing right now.
Okay, Tyler Cottingham, you're up. Jim Cotter on deck. Go ahead, Tyler.
Coach, you mentioned earlier the players don't need necessarily external motivation. That said, the Ohio bench was noticeably chirpy in this empty gym. And by contrast, the Illinois bench was conspicuously quiet until about midway through the third quarter, right before you went on that 9-0 run. Was that a conscious reminder of the coaching staff to maybe pick it up on the bench side of things?
You just said it. That's why DeMonte's our MVP, because he had it, and everybody's got a job to do on our bench, and that'll tell you about where we were at mentally, along with our free throw shooting. That's about how excited we were to play today, and that's unacceptable. And that's we've got to remedy that, and we've got to be better. Again, give Ohio credit. That's a veteran team who was playing a top 10 team, and they had every desire to come in here and beat our ass, and almost did.
Okay, Jim Cotter, you're up. Jeremy Werner on deck. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, Brad, I've just got a strategy question. I know with that next to last possession when Ohio came down, you had a timeout to give, but decided not to use it. Then they took the lead. Then after they came down and Trent was fouled and then hit the free throws, then you decided to use it. Was that the way you wanted to play it all along, or what was the mindset going into that?
I always love to have a timeout to make for a defensive substitution when there's time left in the game. We run plays, we practice those situations all of the time. And, sometimes it's better. Some teams just get it out of the net and go. I wanted to make sure if we didn't substitute or have the right guys in that we were set, that they had to face our set defense. And so I always try to leave one, knowing that if I need to burn one, for a defensive substitution or just to control it, that's what I wanted to do. I think I answered that the right way you wanted me to answer that, or the question.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Jeremy, you're up. Scott Ritchie on deck. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Hey, Brad, you said to ask DeMonte about his confidence. Well, he doesn't say a lot to us, but he obviously has a lot more confidence. I mean, he barely shot threes in games last year, but he's 15 of his last 26 for you guys. What did you guys do as a staff to build up that confidence? I know he and I have worked out a lot, but is there anything you guys tried to do to instill confidence in him as a shooter?
Keep shooting. Just keep shooting. It's that simple. I mean, we've got more faith in him than he does in himself. And my goodness, he's a guy that when you go put the time in, I'm the biggest fan of guys who work, because I'm going to tell them to keep shooting, because I know when you work, good things happen. And he's on a great run, and over the last almost year now, 10 months. And it's because he works. And so I didn't think there was any doubt that he would make that shot. And he's a really good shooter. He's got great touch. And, we just keep telling him to shoot him.
And then Kofi through 3 games has 45 points, I think 36 rebounds. But how would you kind of evaluate what you've seen from him so far?
He's been okay. He hasn't been great. He hasn't had, I talked to him after the game a little bit. I'm really disappointed in his turnovers. And he's a guy that, first possession of the game just gets outrun, and Kofi's the fastest guy in the gym. And, that's the area that we've got to see growth. And, he can be such a dominant force as we saw there in that stretch in the second half. And our guys did a good job of finally executing, getting him the ball. We didn't do that early. And, we've got to do a better job getting him engaged, but we got to clean up his turnovers.
Thanks, Brad.
Okay, Scott Ritchie, you're up. Matt Stevens on deck. Go ahead, Scott.
Brad, that possession was 7 seconds left. I mean, it was kind of a safe assumption Iowa would get the ball. Knowing that, what does it say about where his game is still at, where he got, I think, exactly what he wanted, attacking the rim?
Yeah, I mean, Io DeSumo in an open court is pretty scary, and I don't care who's trying to guard him, and all they did was extend the catch and picked him up early. But whether it was in the half court or it was in the full court, him getting the shot he wants he's pretty hard to guard. That's what pros do, and he's showing he's all of that. And again, he makes winning plays. That's all he does is win.
Then Trent's last free throws, was it a signal from the bench to miss a second, or did he just know that that's the play?
We told him to miss the last one. After he made the first, we told him to miss it. That way it had to be a heave, and they couldn't take it out and throw it, the full length of the court, and you eliminate any type of foul situation in that case. So they were going to have to make it from 92 feet to beat us. So I liked my chances, but you eliminate that any opportunity to foul or do any of that in that situation.
Thank you.
Brad, I don't know if you'll remember, but I remember a story from last year that you said about DeMonte's defense, where he just basically would not allow Isaiah Livers from Michigan to back him down. And it seemed like that was part of Ohio's offense, was to just throw the ball to Vanderplas today and just back DeMonte down. Is that something that can be taught, or is it something that just he has as a 6'3", 215-pound kid to be an excellent perimeter or post defender?
He's got great length. DeMonte's, we didn't spend enough time talking about it, and that's on me. We made his catches too easy. We let him get where he wanted to go. We didn't force him out. And, if you go to Lamar Stevens and you go to some of those guys last year, we really took his catches away. They did a good job of screening him in to some of those areas. But, I think one of the things that DeMonte does, he's got great length, 6'11", 7-foot wingspan, and then he's really strong. His lower base is extremely strong. We've got to give him a little support. But again, going into tonight, we were worried about, them spraying it. He and Preston are such good passers, and those other guys, when they get going shooting threes, now it becomes a real problem. So, again, we'll work on that a little more, and we'll get a little better at it. And lesson learned after tonight or today.
And today, this week was the first time you kind of saw the Georgie Kofi front court. Is that something you feel like you can get a lot better at, or just get a little bit more comfortable with, or is that something that was done in an emergency situation today?
Practiced that quite a bit, and we're trying to. We've had Jermaine out with the hand, and so our practices, have been those two banging against each other, and Georgie probably a little more at the 5, but we have practiced a good decent amount with G at the 4, and that's something we've got to get back to in terms of our execution piece, because we should have went right back, and I didn't do a very good job. We should have went right back. We went late to G in a post up, but we've got to get Georgie the ball on the post against anybody's 4-man. It's a great matchup for him.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it.
Okay, we've got Kedrick, and then we'll finish up with Brad Sturdy. Go ahead, Kedrick.
Hey, Coach, going back to turnovers, you told us yesterday that, they're a part of the game and you accept it, but the carelessness is what bothers you. From a college basketball standpoint, what's a good amount of turnovers that will be acceptable for you during the game?
I think last year, late, we were turning it over 7-8 times a game, and that's where I'd like to be now. Granted, in our first 2 games, tons of possessions, you expect a little bit more. it's the type of turnovers that I'm trying to. I don't have any problem with aggressive turnovers, but when we keep having the same repetitive turnovers, whether it's a travel by a certain player, or whether it's putting the ball down, or it's getting the ball knocked out of our hands, those are sloppy. Those are toughness and mental toughness things, and we've got to correct those. And we didn't make those last year. And and Io had a bad one late in transition. An underhand scoop pass in transition with people running down the middle of the floor, and those are careless. Those things are things that we can't make and continue to do. But it's early. We got a lot of basketball left. We got a lot of things to clean up that way. But it's not necessarily the amount as many as just the carelessness. And I don't mind an aggressive turnover.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Brad, and then we'll have one last question from Rob. Go ahead, Brad.
Hey, Coach. When you get a guy like Preston who is going off like that, you talked about not wanting the other guys to get off from three, but what adjustments do you make as the game progresses in trying to slow a guy like that down in those ball screen situations?
Yeah, we actually doubled him twice to get it out of his hands, and Vanderplas hit a three, and then we didn't cover on the backside of a roll, and they got a lob. And again, that's what good players do. So we let him get north and south too much. We've got to. That's on me. We've got to get him forced sideways. His mid-range game and floater game is really good. But again, we chose not to really stunt off those 3-point shooters and live or die with that. And we almost died. But again, that's a credit to him.
Brad, I'm sorry if you addressed this before. We've all seen Jeff Bowles a lot over the years. What history do you have with him?
That's the first time I've ever played against one of his teams. So I've known Jeff just as I do any other coach in the business, that you see him around recruiting and I know his history in the league and all that. But personally, I don't know Jeff real well, but he's very friendly. He's got a great team. He does a great job, and he's got great pedigree. So when we scheduled them, we knew what we were getting, and we're getting a great coach and a very, very good team that has a lot of veterans. So Jeff's doing an unbelievable job. And like I said, they're going to be a load in that league.
Thanks.
Okay, everybody, that wraps up today. Appreciate it. Derek, I'll let you know the next time we got guys available. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Brad.